All right, guys, you're gonna learn how sexual energy is the key to unlimited levels of creativity. And I'm gonna change the strings on my guitar while I talk about it. Why? Well, because I've been procrastinating doing this for a while. It takes a lot of damn time to restring a guitar. So I'm like, why not make a video, talk about sexual energy while I restring my guitar? Stick around. First of all, let's see how shitty these old dead strings sound. Sounds like ass. So sexual energy is raw creative energy. And obviously we can use this energy to make a baby. Where the hell did I put my, there it is. You're gonna need a string winder to save yourself a lot of time doing this. So we can put this energy into making a baby. We can send it into a crusty old tissue. And this is how most people use their sexual energy. They just disperse it and it's gone. You know, that's fine. If you're into that, that's cool. But there is a lot of other things you can put this energy into as well. It's a very intense energy that drives us, and we can use this intense drive to do other things. And it's also this raw creative energy. So when I was learning this stuff, I was like, okay, my question really became, how can you maximize this flow of sexual energy and basically never run out of it? Because I, in my early 20s, was realizing that it was costing me something every time I ejaculated. I felt pretty depleted. I felt wiped out. And I had to recuperate a bit before doing other things. Hopefully these string sounds aren't too distracting for you guys. When I was playing professionally, well, so we could say professionally, I was trying to make a living doing it, and you know, I was doing all right. Truly a starving artist, I would have to do this like once a week. And this is the thing I ran into on my journey. Clearly ejaculating is depleting the energy, but there's also the other extreme, which is absolute abstinence, you know, withholding from sex and withholding from sexual pleasure, really. And what I've found is that that creates a stagnance of the sexual energy. It cannot flow, it cannot move, it cannot be expressed. Sexual energy is all about expression. It's all about flow. It's this watery energy. It wants to move. When water stops moving, it becomes contaminated. Same thing with your energy. When it gets stuck, it becomes contaminated. Like these old rusty ass strings. Where's my polish? Where's my polish cloth? Long ago, this was my semen rag. No, I'm just kidding, not really. This is a Larrivee LV09 guitar. It is a beautiful guitar, absolutely love it. Sounds amazing. It was my dream guitar for many years, and I could finally afford one. Why? Because I learned how to maximize my sexual energy, maximize my internal energetic economy, you could say, which really affected my external financial abundance as well. So again, we have these two extremes that most men are stuck in. Either they're ejaculating all the time, and they're just expending their sexual energy, which is leaving you in a dead end of depletion. Most people lack creativity, you know, and like inspiration, things like that. It's very fleeting. And so they take drugs, they binge on caffeine, they binge on weed, you know, cocaine, whatever, and feeling that they're getting this creative energy, but it's a very unsustainable path, and there's a lot of side effects from these things. Obviously, you know, in my teenage years, you know, I'm a musician, it's been one of my huge creative outlets, and when I was like 18 to like 22 or so, I thought that I needed to get high to be creative. I was like, well, I need to smoke some weed, man. Unlock the creative juices. Yeah, I used to be in a band and we'd be like, we need an inspiration break. We'd go drive around the car and smoke weed. It was a good time, of course, but you know, there's side effects to that. The brain fog, the low sperm count, and the lower testosterone, all kinds of things. When you can create a flow of this sexual energy in your body, in your mind, and into your life, then you are tapping into this creative energy. It's moving. It brings you new ideas. It brings you, I don't know, it's like it puts you in a different brainwave state or something. It puts you on a whole different level, a different plane of experience where things just flow, man. It just flows, man. And you feel high a lot of the time when you're working with the sexual energy, when you're doing sexual kung fu practices, when you're cultivating your chi when you're running it through your microcosmic orbit, all kinds of stuff. So this is the whole thing of sexual kung fu. It's a systemic way to create an infrastructure in your body, in your mind, that supports this unlimited flow of sexual energy and pleasure. Here's the thing, sexual pleasure is important, it's essential. Why would you withhold from that? Because I know most guys, it drives them to ejaculate and they deplete it, and that's the whole thing. So when you no longer associate sex with ejaculation, you learn to have non-ejaculatory orgasms, bro, you got it made. So you're creating this infrastructure in your body through the practices to hold on to circulate and refine this energy. Then it can be stored, it can be used, and it can be expressed in other ways than sex, than ejaculation throughout your daily life. I use these Elixir nanoweb strings. They're badass. They're coated with something that makes them last a lot longer. They keep that nice crisp tone, that smooth low end for like months, honestly, even though I play the shit out of this thing. So as hardcore addictive as I am of Qigong and internal practices now, that's how I was about music and playing guitar. I used to practice like 3 or 4 hours a day. That was my first discipline, but that was about all I did, you know, with my body. And I got a little run down, which drove me to study yoga because my shoulder was fucked up because I had terrible posture of sitting hunched over a guitar all day. And I got into yoga, and that changed my life, you know, practicing meditation, yoga, opening up my body. That eventually led me to practice Qigong. So I was into this musician called Michael Hedges, who tuned me into this whole world of like acoustic fingerstyle, playing with altered tunings, different voicings, kind of creating a whole orchestral effect of playing the guitar. And Michael Hedges was always talking about like yoga and Qigong and like cosmic consciousness. You know, I was like 18 years old. I'm like, oh shit, like what is this? And eventually got into these things. Music's a gateway drug, man. It took me a couple years to discover the string winder. So I'd sit there cranking it by hand. So again, this is why people take drugs, why they get highs, because it creates some kind of flow in them. It's a heightened state of consciousness that's out of the kind of mundane daily survival mode. And you know, that's okay. Everything in moderation. But my question became, I didn't need to do this as a child. I didn't need to get high. I didn't need to take drugs, put external things in my body to feel creative and joyful and in the moment. I mean, I had immense creativity as a child. I was creating entire universes. Every situation was a game. Every situation was just like, you know, playful to me. And then something got constricted. For me, at age 9, I started to shut down a little bit, you know, as I've reflected on my path. And it really intensified around age 14 and was really just a downward spiral from there. And what it is I started to develop constrictions in my flow of energy, constrictions in my expression of life force in my body. I started to put on all these masks to please my parents, to please my teachers, to please society, to not get in trouble at school and all these things. And you know what? I was no longer my true self. I was this programmed creature. Again, I was a people pleaser. And I was really depressed. I was really shut down. So I would get high. I would smoke some weed. I would get drunk. And it made me feel something different. It made me feel a little more connected to something. But the problem is that, you know, again, there's all these side effects, taking substances. It's not a sustainable path, in my opinion. You're always giving your power away to something else, which means that it can be taken away from you at any point. And you have no power over yourself. You have no willpower. It's kind of a lazy path, you know, instant gratification. And part of the problem that I had was that I trained my sexual energy. I need to put this thing in one place. There it is. It's on my lap. I had trained my sexual energy to constantly only flow out of my body. So my creativity was often very short-lived. So I had to further, you know, burn my energy up with substances and things like that. And so this was one of the most dramatic things I noticed when I started getting into sexual kung fu and working with my sexual energy, was how much my creative energy started to flow and just skyrocket. Like I was getting into electronic music composition. I was starting to do like freelance work, creating video game soundtracks, which was a badass job for a while. And you know what? It took a lot of creative energy to be like constantly creating original music, meeting deadlines, all these things. There's no way I could have kept up with that back in the past when I was like, well, I'll just like get high, man, and see what comes through. It was very unsustainable. But I was just on it. Like every time I sat down to create, it's just like, I was amazed at what came through. And I was like, what's changed here? I was like, well, it was obvious. It's like, well, sexual energy. I've been building up all the sexual energy, but I was also working with it. I was having sex Sometimes I would like have sex or self-pleasure, arouse my energy, then I draw it through the microcosmic orbit, bring it up to my brain, fuel my creative thinking. I would sit down, create some music, and it was just like amazing what happened. Amazing to me, maybe it's shit to everyone else, I don't know, but I enjoyed it. Ooh, that is non-tuned. I'm gonna tune this to open D, D-A-D, F sharp, A-D. One of my favorite tunings. And of course, this creativity didn't end in music for me. Like, I built a business. I started my sexual kung fu channel. I started creating courses and literally started making my living, like doing the things I love the most. It was absolutely incredible. And it's not easy to like create courses on things that, things that have never been made before. There's not a whole lot of stuff like this out there, you know what I mean? And again, when your energy channels are open, this energy is flowing through. I wasn't getting high on mushrooms and ayahuasca. I was getting high on chi, the life force, and my sexual energy flowing through my system. And for me, that's way more sustainable, way more grounded. And it's something I created for myself. I always have the power to do it. It's not based on, some external thing. I don't need a shaman, a priest, a guru, chanting mantras, none of that bullshit. None of that stuff, bullshit. I've built this house for myself, so to speak, because the problem with like psychedelics and things like that is that there's not a whole lot of ground to it. It's like you just take this thing, it blasts you up into the upper levels, which your energetic system is often not prepared for. And it feels nice and fun and silly and goofy and cosmic and crazy. And you get a lot of insight. But then you kind of crash back down because you haven't built a system to hold you up there, and you're back in your old mundane life, and it's always this constant up and down, and well, man, you want to do some? All right, I got to go back to Peru, get another ayahuasca trip in. And again, that's cool. There's no judgment to that. Again, I had that phase of my life with it, but for me, this is just it's a daily practice. It's a discipline. It's okay. I could take this pill and feel good for a little bit and then be below baseline, and that's my life. No, it's I put in the work, the effort, the discipline. I'm moving the chi, studying, training, practicing hours a day, and that is a sustainable high. And guess what? You can keep that going 24/7. It's free, and no one can ever take that away from you because it's your consciousness. It's not even your body. It's your mind. But since I'm talking about psychedelics, I'll share a story. This was 2009. I was 19, 20 years old. And what am I doing here? Okay. It was a spring evening. I ate about 3 grams of mushrooms. It was a decent dose. And walked off into the hills by myself. And shit got real weird. Shit got really weird. And eventually, I'm making my way back. The trees are reaching out. I'm stuck in a time loop. I'm trying to avoid phasing into another reality. Shit's getting real weird. Somehow I make it back to my apartment, and I pick up my guitar and start playing because I'm in a very intense place. I'm losing it. But I start playing and and I realized the focus it takes, to play a musical instrument and at the same time, just improvising, I'm playing music, and it's where do I want to go? What do I want to create with this? I can create the mood, I can create the feeling, and I have to be fully present. I couldn't be thinking about anything else except what I was doing, playing the instrument, making it technically challenging. And I'm this is amazing. I'm whenever I'm feeling, anxiety, going down the rabbit holes of existential crisis, dissolving into black hole universes, all I need to do is to do something that fully occupies my mind here and now, where there's absolutely no room to think about anything else except what's in the present moment. I'm that is it. And for me at the time, I was playing guitar and very technical music. And I've still gravitated towards those kinds of activities where I cannot be thinking about anything else. Things like Tai Chi, Qigong, internal alchemy. When you're doing it right, you absolutely cannot be thinking about anything else except what is in the here and now. There's a certain intensity to it, and it's also a certain keeping yourself fully present in the moment. So, coming back to sexual energy, there is a power birthing everything. Everything in the universe. Atoms, cells, organisms, planets, stars, galaxies, universes, multiverses. There is a power that births everything. That is the same power that ignites when you feel aroused. It is igniting in your genitals. We've all felt that feeling, that delicious fiery ache. That's it. Now, guess what? When you can hold on to that When you can put that energy into things instead of just releasing it impulsively because it feels uncomfortable, you become a creator and you have infinite creative ability. Imagine never running out of this energy. And this is the path of sexual kung fu. It's the potential path. You got to train, you got to work for it. Uh-oh, I lost my lug nut. I busted a lug nut, busted my nuts all over the place. All right. It was in my lap the whole time. The important thing is you have a non-draining path for this energy to move and to be expressed. That's what it's all about. Keep it moving, keep it flowing, feeling the sexual pleasure, feeling that juiciness, but not just throwing it out of you all the time. As a man, ejaculating out semen is, doing it too much. It's like digging up the roots of a tree. You're uproot. It's like, okay, I want to give you some fruit. Let me uproot this tree by the roots, give you the apple tree. Sure, that works, but it's not very sustainable. Pretty soon, your orchard's going to be gone. You're going to have no trees left. Your kidneys are uprooted. Your kidney essence, your jing. So as a man, when you're practicing retention, when you're withholding from ejaculation for the right time period for you personally, it's like you're nourishing the roots of that tree so it can grow tall, and then it starts to bear fruit. It constantly bears fruit because the roots are nourished, and you can give that fruit away freely, as much as you want. It's abundant. And that fruit is the energy of the semen. It's the jing qi. So you have this constant supply. It's like your battery to generate that jing qi, that creative energy, that sexual amplifying energy. That's what retaining your semen does. And then you engage in sex, non-ejaculatory sex, amazing mind-blowing pleasure. And it's like steaming and activating that energy at a higher level. And then you gather that essence throughout your body. You circulate it, exchange it with your partner, the whole sexual kung fu practice. And then you go out into your life. You go out into the world. And you put that energy into whatever you want to put it into. You're creating your art with it. You're creating a business with it. You're crushing workouts with it. You're attracting an amazing partner with it. You're being yourself. And so that's how it works. That's for me, one of the main reasons I do this practice, besides, there's many reasons, but that just unlimited supply of this creative energy that wants to move, it wants to be expressed. It becomes a powerful mobilizer in your life so you don't get stuck in anxiety and depression and drugs and video games and social media addiction and porn. And life flows. Life stays interesting and magical and fun, and you become a creator. So again, having some sort of creative outlet as well it's essential for a man in this world. Without becoming a creator, when you're not creating things, when you're not creating the world around you in the way that you want to, then you become a participant in someone else's creation. You become a passive participant, just going with the flow of what's already there, and you have no say. You're just doing what someone else tells you to do. And guess what? That's the life of a slave. All right, gotta get my G string nice and tight in here, yeah. What the oh, there we go. Clip these off now. All right, let's tune her up. All right, she's all strung up. So again, basically learning to manage, to build, to cultivate your energy, to refine it, to circulate it, and be absolutely in control of where you're sourcing your creative energy from, coming from within rather than from without, is, in my opinion, the highest path to self-mastery and to fulfillment, to living an amazing life and to creating the life you want to live. That's what it's all about. If you want to learn more about channeling your sexual energy into different aspects of your life, let me know in the comments below. Let's see how it sounds.